What up, everyone? Ran a little late this weekend. Been very busy, but at least we got better late than never. How is everyone doing today? Anyone who's new to the stream, I am Proto Man. This is the Transformer Slag podcast Saturday night live stream, and we are here today to talk about the robots in disguise. So it's been a busy week. There was a lot of cool news here and there. A lot of different stuff, more or less. We'll go through the news this week, and then we'll jump into some super chat questions and stuff like that. If you want to super chat in the moment, go for that. I have like so much stuff in terms of the Patreon I want to talk about too, but I think I'm going to save that for next week. But there was a lot of cool stuff with the Patreon people and everything too. For anyone that don't know, we have a Patreon and we have a Discord that's Patreon exclusive, and there was a whole bunch of cool deals that we were doing and a lot of cool stuff that was to get. But I'll get into that I think next week because there's just too much on the plate right now, and we already ran 15 minutes late, so I figured we'll just jump into it. So first thing we're going to talk about. Let's talk about. Let me pull it up here. So GoBots revealed their brand new Series 6 release of figures. Now, I know a lot of people aren't really into GoBots. It's not really a thing for a lot of the more hardcore Transformer fans, but it is something to kind of keep on the radar a little bit because they are going to be having a series in the future. I feel like the series that they're going to be doing is going to be something that's going to kind of replace what Rescue Bots was aiming with that demographic, the preschooler to the grade schooler demographic of Transformer collectors, where we will have still something for the older, let's say the grade schooler to teenager to adult demographic kind of series, if you don't count, obviously, Kingdom. But, I mean, I dig GoBots. I like that they do designs that you just would never imagine. I mean, I talked about on my Twitter how, like, this is probably the only way we'll ever see, like, Rock Lords or stuff. But the crazy thing is they gave us our very first Transformer that turns into crap. No joke. The Dukes, as he is called, they used the mold from the GoBots pretzel, which I'm pretty sure when this was being designed was planned in advance. They were planning like how do we make a Transformer that turns into crap in the future? Well, we'll make a pretzel, and then we could somehow just slide it in there. And I don't know. There just seems to be a lot of toys today on the shelves aimed at a younger demographic that seem to be either slime based or fecal matter based. Like there seems to be a weird push that's going on in the toy design world. But yeah, so we finally have a Transformer that turns into literal crap, not just a Transformer toy that you don't like that you would call crap. But the funny thing is, they were kind of building up to this. Because back in Series 2, and I talked about this with Cheers Ian, he's someone that I know in the Transformer Slag world and stuff like that, TFCon, Charity Auction, Man Oh Man. We talked about this when this thing came out. There was a Series 2 bar of soap bot named Nope Soap. And we always found it weird that why is there like a brown spot on him? And he looks like absolutely mortified that, wherever he's been used as soap. And I have a feeling that whoever was working at Hasbro for Series 2 of GoBots wanted to have the story of a bar of soap that went up someone's butt and got a little chocolate on the way back. I don't know, man. GoBots is crazy. GoBots is crazy, so I don't know. I do not know. I mean, again, I have a few of them, like all just the key ones that are really cool in terms of unique designs. I'm obviously going to probably pick up the poop one just because it's a poop Transformer, and when are we ever going to be able to say that again? Maybe some of those Rock Lord kind of related ones too. But at the end of the day, there's a series coming. They're building up to this. This is coming. It's going to be a thing. And we just have to accept it pretty much. We just got to accept it that that's just what the future is going to be with the Transformer brand on the play school, kid level kind of side of things. But yeah, next up we have news from HasLab. The shipping of Unicron is on its way. So anyone that did pick up Unicron, oh man, it feels like 3 years now. I mean, anyone who pretty much threw their money at HasLab those 3 years ago for Unicron, good news, February 1st, literally 2 days from now, they will be shipping out. And expect a absolutely humongous, like washing machine sized box showing up at your doorstep in this crazy winter weather, depending on where you are in the world. Yeah, this is going to be one of those cases where if you're someone who doesn't keep a box, it's pretty obvious what you're going to do with this one. If you're someone who do keep boxes, man, where are you going to put that thing? That Unicron already takes space. That box is, that box is something you pay rent for people to live in. It's that big. So it's been a while, but it's now finally shipping out. I have my spot waiting for it, although now I'm kind of rethinking. I might want to put it in the Titan class display because I don't know if it'll clear, but I hope it does because now part of me is kind of like having new plans for some display. It never ends. It never ends, as Mr. Furman says, and Unicron is on his way. So that's pretty hype. I wonder if anyone aside me got one because I feel like I'm the only crazy person that dropped the money. Next up, speaking of crazy stuff that some people are not a fan of, and I have to say, in all my years of doing Transformer Slag, I've noticed two topics that always seem to be the least popular with people, and I still do them because I don't care, but two of the topics that... Can we get an F for Scott? Oh, who passed away? Your buddy Scott passed away? F for Scott. Rest in peace, Scott. Oh, from there I was like, who passed away? Did someone just pass away recently? Well, rest in peace, Scott. Shout out on the podcast. Moment of silence. Rest in peace, Scott. That being said, so speaking of stuff it's great, now it's actually going to kind of segue to it in a lot of ways. Two of my least popular topics that whenever they're brought up on the podcast is when people pass away. This must have been a coincidence. Whenever I talk about when people pass away, people usually don't want to listen to those segments because they're usually very negative and stuff like that. And they don't like the bad mojo, I guess. And the second most unpopular thing on the podcast that we talk about that just like no one wants to hear about it, but I still report it because I have to, is that a Funko Pop. And Funko Pop once again revealed more Transformer stuff. And, it's one thing already that Funko Pop has this tendency to do exclusives, much like with just our basic Transformer product. It's one thing that they do exclusives that end up becoming extremely expensive, but at the end of the day, it's something that only has neck articulation. It's another thing that they do these blind box stuff that costs $30 a pop, and you might not even guaranteed to get Transformer stuff. So what you're looking at here is the GameStop exclusive Transformers versus G.I. Joe mystery box set. So how it works essentially is you get a choice of a G1 1984 Transformers box, metal lunchbox, or a G.I. Joe. I want to say it's the box art from 1982. I could be wrong with that. But essentially, they did this, and they don't guarantee if you're even going to get Transformer stuff. You might get a Cobra Commander, a Duke, and, a pin of a Duke and a, Cobra logo keychain. So it's all randomized. You don't know what you're getting in this thing. And it's the only way that, unfortunately, you could get an Optimus Prime with Energon axe and a Megatron with Energon mace. If you're one of those Funko completists, it's pretty crazy. We got a super chat. We're going to cut it off for a moment because we got a super chat. We have a super chat from Max Shade 7. And Max wants to know, hey, Proto, why is it hard for Takara to come with full-on Masterpiece Cliffjumper? Is it really that complicated? Well, The thing is that Cliffjumper's origins also come from Porsche, and it's kind of the same problem that exists with Jazz. Is there's kind of a little bit of a, you're being held back by the car company, even though Porsche is owned by Volkswagen and Volkswagen has a good relationship with using the Beetle for Bumblebee and stuff. I think it's just, number one, there's still an ingrained difficulty with Porsche because of its history. Volkswagen has a history too, but also Porsche's history, combined with the fact that, Cliffjumper just really isn't as popular as some other stuff. And as much as Skids is definitely not as popular as Cliffjumper, I think Skids is probably the easier one to do because of the licensing standpoint, despite the fact that Cliffjumper is way more popular. I wouldn't argue it. I would love a Masterpiece Cliffjumper. I love Cliffjumper. Cliffjumper and Brawn are like two of my favorite mini bots of all time. Huffer's in there too, and Outback. But, at the same time, there's a lot of complicated licensing issues. Porsche is the big problem, and it's the same reason why even with our Studio Series Jazz that we have, they had to change stuff from that Studio Series Jazz just so it could actually happen, because they still can't give the licenses to Porsche and Martini, which was the sponsor designs all over the original 84 Jazz figure. So there's a lot of different things that kind of hold that back. Hopefully we will get a Cliffjumper at some point, but I think that they're going to kind of go through the more easier stuff to do before they tackle the tough ones. I mean, we would have got Meister, aka Jazz, a long time ago if he wasn't a Porsche. Like, he would have been like, we would have been talking about him in like 2009 or something, or 2010, but he's just been hitting that wall. It's the same thing with, like, I just want to just put it up there, with the alternators back in the day. Jazz was going to be the new Porsche in alternators, and then that got stopped. And then they made him an RX-8 in the end with Mazda because, at the end of the day, Mazda's Japanese and they're going to play game. And they ended up doing all this crazy stuff with Mazda. Like, Jazz ended up being the Mazda RX-8 in alternators, and then they did all this promotional stuff. They did this stuff where it was like, oh, we're going to have Zoom Zoom, the red Jazz, and Zoom Zoom is at the time was Mazda's like catchphrase. And then he did an exclusive, like one of one made, like crazy colored Jazz with pink and blue and yellow, and it was designed by like this Japanese car model, and it was signed by her. Like, they did all kinds of crazy stuff, all because Jazz didn't have to be a Porsche. So it's going to be the same thing with Cliffjumper. And it's not, again, someone asked, is Skids big in Japan? No, he isn't. But what Skids turns into is easier. He turns into a Honda City. And those things are super common in Japan in the 80s, and it's Honda. And Honda's going to play ball with their fellow Japanese companies. It's just that. When you're talking Porsche, when you're talking Volkswagen-owned Porsche at that point, European company, whole different ball game. Whole different ballgame, especially for something like Masterpiece that's all about looking the best. But thanks for the question, Max. Really good one. So we're going to get back into the Funko stuff. So, up to this point now, we have these two, and they're going to be the only way to get them. But, I mean, when you think about it, like, here's the full list. Imagine, we've only been like, man, they've already belted them out. So at the top of this image here, you could see that, in 2014, we had that Age of Extinction Funko Pops. Nobody bought them, and nobody cared. They had a whole bunch of, like, store exclusives, Barnes & Nobles. Like, we got a good 7 out of those. But they didn't sell well, and they didn't do any others. Now Funko Pop is literally trying to get every license under the sun, and we have now the Retro Toys Hasbro Funko Pops in Transformers. And with the two new ones, if you look on the bottom right there, with the two new ones of Megatron and Optimus with their Energon weapons from the Dam battle, More to Meets the Eye episode part 3, season 1, G1, now we're up to 13. And it's pretty nuts because when you even look at this list, about 50% of the Funko Pops here are store exclusives. You have the Metallic Optimus, which is the second one there. You have the 2006 Classics Bumblebee. You have the Starscream, which was a Target exclusive. You have the Nemesis Prime. There's so many there. Haircut looking stylish. Actually, I got a super chat here. I got to address this. Thank you, Joseph, for the super chat. I actually didn't get a haircut yet. I literally just ran out of the shower to do this. I was running late, guys. I was running late. So this is like slick back shower hair. I'm going to get a better haircut later, trust me. Just nothing has been open in my area. We're on like crazy lockdown here in my area, here in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. So the big V is kind of messing things up. But Joseph has a question, though, despite the haircut praise. Thank you, Joseph. When I buy Funko, should I just throw it directly in the garbage or wait a year? I'll be honest with you, and this is the Transformer finance side of me. Buy a Funko, turn around and flip it, because Funko collectors will always pay more than MSRP. If you went out and bought that Target Starscream, I remember I was talking about it. I think I was talking about it on the Discord. If you went out and bought that Funko Target Starscream, it was $10.99 MSRP, and people were selling it for $50 sold that same week. I don't know if it's still like that now. It's probably cooled down since then and evened out, but I mean, I'm not a big Funko Pop guy. Like, you know what I like about Funko Pop? When they do figures that have never had a figure. Like if you do, I'm trying to think of what, like, to give an example, I really like Radioactive Man from The Simpsons. I loved the comics as a kid. Yeah, there was actually real comics of Radioactive Man. I loved them so much, and they never made a decent Radioactive Man figure. They did like a Rainier Wolfcastle as Radioactive Man, which anyone who knows my eyes, the goggles, they do nothing. You know, they never made an actual Radioactive Man figure. They made a Radioactive Man Funko Pop. So I was like, okay, cool, you know, but it's still not, you know, the figure I want. So if you're someone that, like, you know, because Funko does everything, like literally everything, like there's Golden Girl Funko Pops, there's, you know, The Office Funko Pops, there's Funko Pops of every like band you could possibly think of. Sooner or later, something that you wanted a figure of might not get a figure, but it'll get a Funko Pop, so it's something, I guess. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of them personally. I think that if you're going to spend $10.99, there's a lot of better places you could spend that $10.99. And if you're going to spend crazy money on secondary market Funko Pop, then that's a whole other thing. Hey, if it makes you happy, then it can't be that bad. But if it makes you happy, it's not my problem. You know, I'm not going to be involved with it. But yeah, thank you for the question, Joseph. And the hair is a mess. It's always been a mess. I got the sideburns. At least they're looking good. So yeah, that, you know, look, there's all this Funko Pop stuff. Look at it, stare at it. I think the only one that ever intrigued me is here, the Jetfire over here. That Jetfire, just because it uses that Robotech, you know, VF1 Macross, VF1S, you know, Roy Skull Leader. I can't say his last name because I might get flagged. Woo! That happened actually once. When I did the Funko segment, they're like, "Did he say the F word?" Oh, we got to flag the video. But Roy, yeah, Roy last name, his VF1S Skull Leader. Really dig that. Yeah, I dig it. I dig that one, but all the others, Hey, if you dig it, you dig it. You know, but at the same time, it's not my jam. I mean, to buy all of these would be like the price of like a masterpiece that I rather have in my collection. And I rather have a masterpiece. And to segue from that, let's talk about a somewhat masterpiece in the beautiful announcement by Action Toys that they're still alive. They're still alive. And that they're doing and continuing their Machine Robo, aka GoBots Masterpiece level line. And this is their latest announcement. They did this, I believe it was 3 days ago or 2 days ago. Their MR12 Buggy Robo, aka GoBots, Mighty Robots, Mighty Vehicles, Challenge of the GoBots, Buggy Man. So anyone who had this as a kid back in the day, there is a masterpiece-esque release of it. These are being sold right now, pre-orders for about $39.99. And I have a bunch of these, and I effing love them. You know, maybe even some of that $39.99, another boost about it is you get that crazy display stand. A lot of them come with it, and it's something that you could use with all your other robot toys or anything too. Like especially if you're a Gundam collector, it's a cool little Gundam base kind of thing too. So I really love Action Toys and the stuff they do. and they're very affordable. They're masterpiece level, and it's something that Hasbro doesn't have the rights to these designs. They have the rights to the name GoBots, they have the rights to a lot of the GoBot names, but they don't have the rights to the designs, so we're never going to get masterpiece level GoBot stuff there. But we're going to get it from Action Toys. They're very affordable. They're really cool. I believe Hobby Link Japan and Big Bad Toy Store have them up for pre-order right now for $39.99. Don't quote me on it, but I believe those are two places you could look. They're not sponsors. I'm just trying to direct you guys in the right direction. Yes, Robin, it is a GoBot, but GoBots came from a line called Machine Robo. I did a segment about it a few days ago. You could get the whole history on that, about Machine Robo, Bandai, Poppy, and their history with GoBots and how they were battling Transformers back in the day with Tonka. Yeah, I know. People are telling me about Roy's last name. Yeah, I know about Roy's last name, but unfortunately YouTube likes to flag you whenever you say something that even sounds like that, so I'm not going to take the risk. Yeah, but so check that out. That's really cool. If you're a big GoBot fan, I know I've shown people in the past. I have like my wall of GoBot stuff mint on card. I love GoBots. They're, you know, as a kid, I didn't have a lot of Transformer toys, so my collection of Transformers was a mix of really cheapy Transformers, bootlegs, Micromasters, and GoBots. And some of my GoBots were even bootlegs. They weren't even official GoBots. They were like Robo Machine and stuff like that. So it's still cool. It's still cool. You know, and check out Machine Robo, great series. You know, like a lot of people slept on that. I did a whole panel back in the day. Oh my God, it's 10 years ago actually. In 2010, I did a panel at TFCon about the history of GoBots and Machine Robo and how it's a lot cooler than people think it is. Next up, let's talk about the next Transformer series or the next piece of Transformer fiction that we're going to be getting. Cyberverse Season 4 finally got some more information about what's going to be happening. So it is going to be 2 TV movies. It's going to be called, the 2 TV movies are going to be called The Immobilizer and The Perfect Decepticon. From what we read from the blurbs that are in Issue magazine, which is a United Kingdom like licensing magazine, the Immobilizer episode is going to be about Cybertron being frozen in time and how them having to deal with that. And the Perfect Decepticon episode has something to do with Megatron X and having to stop him and stuff like that. So the Dinobots are going to be featured new characters in it. Sludge, Slag, Swoop, and Snarl. Brand new characters, supposedly due to toy spoilers, as I like to call them. Supposedly Volcanicus is going to be involved, so some kind of combiner stuff. We know that we're going to be getting a Dino Optimus Prime. Does that Dino Optimus Prime get involved in the fiction or not? We don't know. We've had a lot of toys that were Optimus Prime armor stuff that didn't appear in the show, like the Arc Optimus Prime armor. So maybe the Dino Prime isn't a show thing. Maybe it is. We'll see. We will see. But it's still pretty cool. Still pretty cool. I dig that we're getting more Cyberverse. And the fact that it's going to be, here's the thing, the fact that it's going to be a TV movie, it confirms that it's going to be a 44-minute episode, technically, or 44-minute movie, a TV movie, which is really good considering most of the time Cyberverse have been these 10-minute spurts, and really it's like it's 10 minutes, but it's really only 8 minutes when you really factor, you know, intro, outro, commercials and stuff. So I really hope that we get a really good story. And I like Cyberverse. You know, it's not like in my top tier of Transformer series, but it's nice to get stuff like that really, you know, at least continue a bit of a fictional story, because we don't have a movie right now. You know, people who are watching Rescue Bots Academy, that's not really their jam, so that's not really something they enjoy. You know, on top of the fact they don't really like what's going on with the Netflix Transformer stuff. Cyberverse really is the only fictional escape in terms of television material and screen material that they could turn to. Obviously, we have the comics and stuff like that, but that doesn't really, you know, doesn't really count. That's not a majority of the audience. And I really hope that this continues, and I hope that the line continues, because we do know we're going to be getting more deluxes in Cheetor, and who was the other deluxe? Oh, one of the Dinobots. So we'll see. We will see what happens with that. But really hype stuff. Now let's jump into the big news this weekend, which has been Super 7. So Super 7 posted a teaser image a couple days ago, and it was like, hey, we're doing an Ultimates line, and here's a little teaser. And we're like, oh, it's like a clear Starscream, so clearly they're doing a Ghost Starscream. And because they said it was part of the Ultimates line, for anyone that's been collecting you know what? I should have brought one of my Ultimates Ninja Turtles down here. Damn. I'm not going to get up and do it. People already give me crap for getting up in the middle of the stream. But the point is that normally their Ultimates line is very well done. It comes with different hands, different accessories, a whole bunch of accessories, and just looks really good. Well, they surprised us out of left field and showed us the first wave of their Ultimates Super 7 Transformer stuff. I'm going to take a sip here. And I'll be honest with you, I understand some people aren't happy about the price, about it being $55 and all of that. But I'll tell you this right now. These two right here, I might as well just call it. We just got, for the first time ever, Masterpiece Banzai-tron. Because if you make a masterpiece of Banzai-tron, he's not going to transform. If you want to be truly fictional. So you got your Masterpiece Banzai-tron right here. 7.5 inches. Comes with his needler weapon. Was it the needler? Was it the needler? It's called Razor Sharp. Excuse me. Comes with Razor Sharp, his weapon from Action Masters that attached with him. Comes with his little gun weapon. Interchangeable hands, interchangeable accessories. It's going to be cool. I dig it. I understand it's a little pricey for some people, and people were kind of not happy that I did compare it to RED, the robotic enhanced design line that Hasbro's doing. But I really feel like for the more adult collectors who have a little more disposable income, I feel that this is something they could lean more towards on. And the retail RED line could, for the lower budget collector, that could work for them. But I really dig what I see here. I really dig it a lot. Looks really cool. I want to see more photos. I want to see more articulation photos. People have been kind of picking it apart, looking very carefully at everything, looking at, is there pins and stuff and everything? And I mean, just look at all these accessories. Look at this. It's crazy with some of them. Look at that Optimus. That's 50. Look, that Optimus Prime is $55. You get the surfboard from, I think it was Ultimate Doom. You get the basketball. You get the Energon net. You get the Energon axe. You get the Matrix of Leadership, a little Spike figure, the Rocket Pack from Mortal Meets the Eye Parts 3 from Sideswipe, all those interchangeable hands, a toy accurate head along with a show accurate head. I don't know about you, but that's pretty good for $55. I understand some people are not happy about it because of the price. Some people feel it's a little overpriced. That's cool. Hey man, it's cool. It's cool. If you don't like it, well, again, we have that RED line that's coming out, and that'll be your jam then. You could pick up the Optimus is out right now along with Soundwave and Megatron, and I believe the Cheetor is starting to show up in some areas. So people have options, works out for them. I like the optional heads. Looks really cool. Starscream too. I know the Starscream, they did it in that ghost colors because I know it. They're going to do a basic version later, and they're going to give him all his coronation stuff and everything. So we'll see what happens with that. But I really like what they see. And the fact that the Action Masters are there, what makes me more excited is it tells me that anything is possible. They could do Pretenders. They could do, any characters. If we're getting an Action Master, Banzai-tron and Action Master styled Bombshell, then that tells me that you could get Stranglehold, Bludgeon. You could get Landmine the Pretender Shell or Metal Hawk or Star Saber. Anything is possible. Anything is possible. But I dig it. I dig it a lot. I know some people don't, but I dig it. I think it's cool. Next up, interesting piece of news surfaced, and it was old news, if anything else. An old Marvel Comics issue of X-Men was scanned recently, and an ad was found in it. May 1978 of the Saturday Morning Fever for NBC. Now, what's very interesting about this image is that it talked about a Micronauts cartoon that was going to be debuting the September to December Saturday morning cartoon block for NBC. Now, why am I talking about Micronauts? Well, for people who obviously don't know, Micronauts was Microman, which has a Transformer connection. And obviously, everything here, same thing when you look, there's a Godzilla show there. That was also, at the time, Marvel was involved with Godzilla with the comics. And what's interesting about this is this shows that at one point Marvel was going to do a Microman / Micronauts cartoon in 1978. Now, I did some research afterwards and found, actually, no, I'll leave this one up, but I did some research afterwards and found that that fall of 1979 lineup ended up not having the Micronauts, obviously, because we would have been talking about this, decades later. The Yogi Bear Space Race, that was kept. The Jan in the Jungle with Godzilla Power Hour, that was just left as the Godzilla Power Hour, Jan and the Jungle still was kept. But the 10:30 slot that was supposed to be the Micronauts ended up being Hong Kong Phooey. And I think that Marvel ended up putting their budget into that Fantastic Four cartoon at 11 that ended up debuting that year. So at some point, we were going to get a Micronauts cartoon. And I really wonder how this would have affected Transformers getting a cartoon. Because let's say this would have been extremely successful. Would they have just imported the Microman stuff that already was going on in Microman, like Soundwave and Megatron, and just import that and interplay it into this Micronauts cartoon if it was successful? And then we would have never had Megatron and the domino effect of things? Or alternatively, the Diaclone stuff that is the Autobots and everything would have been more sparsed apart and turned into that as the Transformers. Who knows? But this is very interesting to see this. This is the only thing that we have evidence of it. There is no other evidence that there ever was an attempt to do a Micronauts cartoon. I could find nothing online about it outside of this one image that surfaced from an X-Men comic book from May of 1978. This one scan. So it's very interesting. And there has been attempts to do Micronauts cartoons in recent years. But back then, very interesting. Very, very interesting. I hope that more information surfaces about this. And what's sad is a lot of the people that probably worked on this stuff probably aren't alive today. So very interesting stuff. Last thing I want to talk about is, let me just close this, guys. One moment. I have everything open here. Is also, a few days ago we were celebrating, actually I think it was yesterday. Yeah, it was. I'm so bad with dates. Yesterday we were celebrating the 25th anniversary of Duke Nukem 3D. Duke Nukem 3D came out January 29th, 1996. I bought that game brand new back in the day when I had my PC. Proto Man's an old man. I was in high school at the time. And the reason why I'm talking about Duke Nukem 3D here on the Transformer Slag podcast live stream is because back in the day when Duke Nukem came out, Duke Nukem had this thing where you can make your own custom maps. And anyone who's been following my Twitter knows what I'm talking about here and where I'm getting at. So back in the day, it was 1996, Beast Wars had just come out. It totally engulfed my life, Beast Wars, because Transformers was back in a whole new way. And I took Duke Nukem that had this amazing map creator program, and me and my friend Optimus Gold, who was a local friend here in Montreal, me and him together worked on a Beast Wars map. And it was this map that you could play in. I'm going to show you some screenshots here. And it was essentially a open world map where you could go visit the Axelon. There it is on the right. It's a little crude from these images here. You could go visit the Axelon near its waterfall, go into the Axelon, check out the CR chamber, the Maximal Command Room. But there even was a teleport that could send you back to Cybertron. You could see Hot Rod and Inferno and G1 Optimus Prime in alt mode there. All crudely made by a 14-year-old, 15-year-old Proto-Man back in the day. And this was a map that I did, man, I want to say in 97, 98, all those years ago. And when this news popped up about the 25th anniversary of Duke Nukem, I was just like, you know what? Like, I'm going to dig up my old hard drive files of this map called, and it was at the time it was called Axelon.map, Axelon.map. And I dug it up, I loaded it up in a free version of Build which is the Duke Nukem build program that I found online. And I'm thinking of cleaning it up a little bit because there's some quirks still in it. Relearning how to do all of this when I have some time, cleaning it up and making it public for people to enjoy. And they could find me run around on prehistoric Earth, go into the Axelon, check out Cybertron and everything like that. Very interesting thing that I did many years ago, and I never shared it because, back then we didn't have the ease of sharing stuff, especially back in 96, 97, 98. And it was just a project me and him worked on, and the people back in the day in MIRC and the Beast Wars community then, we would go into this map and have death matches and kind of do role play stuff too. We never made a dark side, unfortunately. We were planning to do that. There's a big empty side of the map that would have been the dark side with lava and a darker kind of theme, but we never did that. And one day I'm going to revisit all of this and do it all again, and I'll release it. And you know what's cool about this? Like, man, there's like auto gun stuff. Go on my Twitter when you have a chance. After this is all done, go on my Twitter. I posted a little video clip of it to kind of show people how it looks. Obviously, it's a little janky because, I never finished it. It was just this little project that I did. I was in high school and never finished it. But yeah, and that's it more or less for news this week. Again, want to just give a shout out to my sponsors, SymbioteStudios.com. Check them out. There's their shirts. I love their shirt. This is a good Optimus shirt, and their nice little pins. Check out their stuff. They do plush. They do shirts. They do pins. They do a lot of Transformer stuff. Check them out, SymbioteStudios.com. They recently shipped to me their Megatron with the cool little... let me get it there. The cool little Megatron pin there. Megatron there. And then, of course, little Timber from G.I. Joe. So, I really love that. I don't know why I love this more than anything, getting the little Timber. And the Cobra Commander is awesome, too, because I didn't realize that it had the cape and everything. But definitely check them out, SymbioteStudios.com. They are awesome dudes, and they put a lot of cool Transformer product out. And, I mean, this is the first time ever that Transformers had a legitimate ongoing plush line of multiple waves that's officially licensed by Hasbro. And so you have Optimus, you have Bumblebee, you have Soundwave, you have Megatron. They have 2 more that they're going to be announcing next month. And if you know who the Legendary 7 are, you could probably take a good guess who those 2 are going to be. But definitely check them out, SymbioteStudios.com. We'll talk about them more later, of course, because they're awesome. We have a super chat from the old Stinkfist69. What's up, Proto Man? Out of all the meshed up Transformers, X-Men, Ghostbusters, Back to the Future, Top Gun, which one is your favorite? Well, the one that I find visually works the best of the bunch thus far has been, like, first place goes to Gigawatt. Gigawatt, I think, and I'm talking visually. Visually, Gigawatt looks the nicest. Just long overdue to get that proper DeLorean Transformer outside of the Micromaster Swindler back in the day. Look that up, Swindler. The Micromaster was a DeLorean. And then, of course, the fan-made steel skin from, like, the 90s. So I think the DeLorean's the nicest one, with the Ghostbuster stuff being a close second. But, I mean, personally, of the bunch, I mean, I was really kind of hoping that X-Men one was going to be amazing, because I love X-Men, and for that to cross over would have been really cool. But I'm really not feeling that leader class Blackbird. I'm really not feeling it, man. But I think of the bunch, Gigawatt. And oddly enough, Gigawatt's probably the easiest one to pick up. So it's not even a matter of like, oh, he's easy to pick up and that's why he's my favorite. I think he's just really the best one of the bunch. I don't have the Top Gun one yet. It does look interesting. I think it's called Maverick. I don't have him yet, but he looks cool. I really like Top Gun. Top Gun has an amazing soundtrack, not just, Danger Zone. The whole soundtrack's incredible. But man, like Mighty Wings, what do you call it? Hanging with the Boys. Such a great soundtrack, that movie. But I don't know. I just wasn't feeling Maverick, the Top Gun one, either, so I didn't pre-order it. But it looks great. It's like they put like all the paint into that helmet. So maybe I'll find it in the future at a con. Maybe someone will be selling it secondhand, and I'll pick it up one day. with that little volleyball accessory. Optimus has the basketball now from Super 7, so now we have the basketball one. So the volleyball one will be with Maverick. Now we need a hockey Transformer. What was that? There was that old Dark of the Moon Human Alliance one that kind of looked like it had a hockey goalie. I think it was called Iceberg or Ice Pick. That would have been cool. But yeah, that's the one I would go with. I would go with Gigawatt. Gigawatt just really is the best one. He just really is. He has cool articulation. You could do the poses. And it's that Sideswipe mold, which is just pretty awesome to begin with in a lot of ways. But thanks for the question, man. That's really cool. Really cool. Thank you again. Before we go into more super chats, I just want to go into some stuff that came in the mail also. I just want to give a shout out to... I'm going to give a shout out next week too. I have more Patreon stuff I want to get into. This week I just want to give a shout out to Zero. He's one of my patrons, and he hooked me up with the Viacon / War Breakdown from the HasLab thing. I actually wanted this really badly because I actually own War Breakdown, but I wanted to own it because I end up finding out from people that there actually is subtle differences. And me being a completist, I was just like, man, I want to get it now and compare. I didn't open it completely yet, so I'm going to do some photo shoots in the near future comparing it with the original War Breakdown from Arms Micron, so you can know 100% what the differences are, and that way it could prevent people from doing douchebaggy kind of things where they might sell you saying, oh, it's the Arms Micron one when it's really this one, which was significantly cheaper in the secondary market. So big shout out to Zero from the Transformer Slag Patreon for hooking me up with this. I mean, I paid for it. He didn't give it to me for free, but he just helped me out because Quebec, Canada, Hasbro Pulse don't like us, so that's pretty awesome. And then, again, thank you, Zero. And then a few weeks ago, we did a podcast where we were talking about bootleg Transformers, and I talked about all the different colors of Transformers Nike label bootlegs, and I had the Optimus, I had the Ultra Magnus color, and I had the never existed but the bootlegs did it Bumblebee colors. And someone contacted me and said, hey, do you want the Megatron one? I own it, and he was going to throw it out. And I was like, okay. So he sent me the Megatron one. I don't know if he wants me to say his name. He didn't say if he wanted me to say his name. I was going to give him a shout out, but I'll just say PS for now. Thank you, PS. If you want, I'll say your name. Let me know. I don't know if you're in the stream, but let me know if you want me to give you a shout out, and I will. But he sent it to me in the mail. It was a complete surprise. We kind of have a P.O. box for the podcast. Everything gets shipped to, we have an office that we kind of just have all our stuff shipped to. I just never really made it public because, whatever. Like if you want to send stuff for the podcast, let me know. But we don't really put out the address, and not to mention during times of the big V, I don't want my office being flooded with a whole bunch of stuff. But that was a cool thing I got in the mail too. I want to actually open it up. I want to see it because I didn't open it yet. I want to see if it has the Megatron head on it. It's kind of hard to see through the packaging there. Or if it's just the Megatron colors, but they just still use the Optimus body. I'm pretty sure they probably use the Megatron head, but that's really cool. The bootleg ones, they're slightly larger and they have a different kind of box style, and they don't have the Nike logo. So I kind of like them because they're a brand new sculpt. So wacky stuff in Transformer history. Super Transforms sports label. But yeah, cool stuff. So, my boys and girls, let's jump into some super chats and then just relax for the rest of the evening. It's been a busy week. It's been a bit of a crazy week for some people. I hope everyone is safe and healthy. The world is, still a lot of crazy stuff going on. I know in my case, I still can't go shopping. If it ain't for food or medical supplies, you're not allowed to go shopping anywhere else here in Montreal. And we have an 8 p.m. curfew. If you're caught outside after 8 p.m., you get a fine. Whoo! What a world we live in. But that's what's happening right now. Supposedly all that's going to get lifted later, but it's been pretty tough to do any kind of toy shopping and stuff. So, needless to say, I'm grateful for all the stuff the fans have been sending and stuff and everything. And again, next stream, I'm going to do a whole bunch of shout outs and stuff because a lot of stuff did show up in the mail from fans, and I really appreciate all the cool stuff that you guys have been sending me. So let's take some questions. We got one here. Hey, Proto Man, for the Bumblebee movie sequel, for them to move away from the Bay designs and B even more, do you think we should start to give them a mouth similar to that of the B movie and Cliffjumper? Well, I think that's something you really have to, because that's really more a Paramount decision, if anything, and they've seen the success that Bumblebee has had with this whole like, oh hey, he's very internationally well known with the Chinese market and the Japanese market now not talking. There's a lot of people, look, a lot of us grew up on Bumblebee being a character who talks. Those Michael Bay movies came out and it created a whole generation of people that didn't grow up on Transformers but became Transformer fans and then got used to Bumblebee just being a character that doesn't talk, or if he does talk, it's for 5 seconds. So I think that they're probably going to still milk it. I really do. I personally rather him talk, me personally, but I think they're still going to milk it. And we'll just have other characters who talk. That's all it's going to be. It'll just be Bumblebee doing his, signs and music and radio kind of stuff, while other characters will be the focal point of dialogue, assuming that they actually do focus on the robots. Assuming. But yeah, that's more or less what I think about that. Dear Proto, are you also disappointed Hound wasn't repainted into Detrius? He's a mercenary in the card game. Yep, I saw that he was one in the card game aside from just his e-hobby toy. I think he's still going to get a repaint. They didn't really, they used that mold. I'm looking at it right now on the shelf. They used that mold for the Hot Shot. But I know Hasbro. One repaint isn't enough. That's such an easy repaint too. That. Like, they don't even have to sculpt anything. They could, like, no joke, I could see it. Hasbro Pulse, they could do that repaint and then give a whole bunch of extra accessories to be junk. Like, like how they did that little box set thingy with the Centurion drone or whatever, Sentry drone, where it came with all those little accessories. They could do something like that. It's like the Junkion with his junk. They could easily, hey, there you go, Hasbro, free idea on that one. Easy repaint, brown repaint, boom, you're done. If they're willing to do deep cover, which is just as equally a obscure e-hobby repaint, they could do that one too, for sure. Faux show. Again, guys, if I miss any questions, just repeat them again. Where are we at here? Proto, what's your opinion on third-party upgrades for official figures? Well, back in the day when third-party was really becoming a thing, see, I don't want to get up and pull it off the shelf. You know what? I'm going to do it. One moment, because this one kind of applies to your question. Okay, so a while back I helped work on a third-party book called Transforming Collections by Philip Reed. And Philip, thanks. I helped him with the book. And the part of the book that I worked on, there's a special thanks. You can barely see it. There's Proto Man. Anyways, the part of the book that I helped him with was the early beginnings of third party, and of course, obviously the TFCon section and everything too. There I am in the book. There's a little photo of me over there doing a panel. I'm wearing a similar shirt too, actually. Oh, it's a different shirt. This one was the black shirt. I have so many white shirts like that. Anyways, so and in the book we talked about the early history of third party. And it all started with this one right here, from the collection of Proto Man. This was Cliff back in the day. And, third party back in the day, look, it was all upgrade kits. It wasn't full figures like we're used to today. So, I dug it. Because at the time, like, when are we ever going to get a Rodimus? How could we make, our Cliffjumper different from our Classics Bumblebee? It was trying to take the limitations of what Hasbro wasn't willing to do at the time and do it. And that's still in a lot of way the spirit of what third party is today, but just, you know, to the max now, where it's like, we're going to do every masterpiece they'll never do. We're going to do this. And I feel that at the end of the day, it serves its place. It does. It's just there's so much of it that it's like, you know, it's so hard to keep up on. I still buy this and that of third party, but now I buy stuff that I really feel Hasbro won't do. Like, you know, I mean, just going through this book, right? You know, like I could just like randomly, you know, go through stuff. Like third party Bumblebee Volkswagens. We finally got that. You know, third party, you know, cassette bots. We finally got that. And this book's old. This book was from, man, when did we do this book? This was a while back we did this. You know, third party Combiner Devastators. Finally that happened, you know. Third party mini bots. That finally happened. Again, randomly going through stuff here. Let's see what else. Another interesting one. Well, hopefully that's going to happen one day. Maybe we'll get an Alpha Trion that looks like that. But we're going to look, we technically got a mini version from the Pit of Judgment of Kranix. But yeah, you know, look, third party camera, you know, reflector. You know, so like all of that stuff at some point happened. So nowadays, like, I'm just more hesitant to buy third party stuff just because it could potentially be something in the future from Hasbro. But yeah, that's more or less it. Stinkfist69 wants to know, by the way, guys, if I miss any questions, just repeat them again. Stinkfist, because everything gets pushed up, so it's hard to catch everything. Stinkfist69 wants to know, what water-based character would you want in the Kingdom line? Well, while it wouldn't, you know, I know they're waiting to do Season 3 stuff. I would love to see Depth Charge. I would love to see Cyber Shark. I love that Cyber Shark toy, the first one, not the Transmetal 2. Transmetal 2 should be used as a Skybite. But man, like, I love that old Cyber Shark toy, the Hammerhead one. I would love to see that. I mean, just those two alone, you know, Depth Charge and him. You know, then if you want to, you know, look, we're getting all these deluxe scale mini bots anyways. Now you could bring back Sea Spray and do him for like what, like a third time now. We had that Voyager scale one, then we had the Scout scale one. I don't think there was any others that they did. I mean, yeah, technically there was that Armada Minicon that kind of looks like him. No, there was only the two. So yeah, you could do him for a third time in the classics kind of style. That'd be kind of cool, I guess. Dear Proto, do you think Magnificus should be made a mercenary? I think that any of those e-hobby repaints end up becoming mercenaries. Magnificus has a human companion, though, so maybe there might be something more interesting to him in a lot of ways. A lot of people forget that he came with a little Microman mold of a human character, so who knows? You know, there's a lot of ways that it could be written. I know that my buddy Hydra did one of the bios for him. So we'll see what he thinks about that. I don't want to step on his original writing. Hey, Proto, where can I find that book? Transforming Collections at one point was on Amazon, and he did a second one, too, that I helped him work with. Hold on. Now you make me get both here, guys. And then there was Transforming Expectations. There was 2 third-party books. And again, it's the history of third-party, but like the early years, you know? This one, oh, you see what we were talking about. Oh, like, hey, that ended up becoming a real thing. That ended up becoming a real thing. You know, like, hey, did we ever get a wheelie? Yes, we did. You know, like, it's stuff that's, oh yeah, man, I remember all of this now. It's good stuff. You know, I had extra copies of this, and I remember I brought them to a TF Con, because obviously, like, anyone who helped work with the book, we got a few extra copies that we could give away. And I believe they were in the charity auction. I don't remember what they sold for, but you know what? If you're interested in these books, contact me on Facebook, maybe not, but Twitter, and I'll get you into contact with Philip, and he might have extra copies. These are really cool. Like, look how thick they are. They're hardcover, and it's the early history of third party, like literally the early history of third party, where, like, oh my goodness, like, it really goes all the way back to the beginning. Did I send images? Hold on a second. I just wanted to check something, because I know that I sent images for some of the other crazy stuff that was there, but very interesting books. Very interesting books. Good pieces of TF history. So I'll put you guys over here for now. But yeah, contact me on Twitter. Send me a private message. I'll try to get you in contact with Philip Reed. And he might have some copies still kicking around. It's kind of an old book. It's been around for about a good couple of years now. But yeah. We got a super chat from JM Autobot, but he didn't ask a question. JM, ask a question, brother. JM, ask a question. You don't have to super chat again. Just ask a question. Let me just do another one in the meantime. Hey, Proto, who from Beast Machines would you like to get an update? Who had a really bad toy that needed an update? Well, Savage Noble would be cool. That would be really cool to get a good Savage Noble figure, even though he's not like a major, character. But I would love to see Savage Noble. Definitely him. Who else was pretty garbage that obviously I hate Night Scream, but Night Scream needs a new toy. He really does. He really does. He doesn't have any good toys, so he needs an update, even though he has an ugly design. And he's probably one of my least favorite Transformer characters and designs. JM Autobot, there's his question. Hey, Proto, would you prefer a Transformer-focused movie that takes place on Earth or something in other locations? I've said this always. Environment leads to distractions. Why was Beast Wars so great? Because it was prehistoric Earth. You didn't have humans messing it up. In fact, some of my least favorite Beast Wars episodes are the ones that involve, like, the proto-humans. What was it called there? Crossing the Rubicon, where they had to, escort Una and Jack. The less of a chance of humans being a thing, the better. It's amazing how Cyberverse, maybe because of their budget, didn't have any humans, despite the fact that the whole show was practically on Earth. Although there's a lot of Cybertron locations, too, and traveling. I prefer keep it away from Earth, travel around, go to other planets, have adventures, meet new Transformers, colonies, and stuff. It sounds like Earthrise in a lot of ways. What could have been Earthrise. It just leads to more Transformers interacting with each other. When you don't have humans, that means the humans don't have lines. When the humans don't have lines and they're not there, they have no reason to explain why they're there. And because they're not there, there's no interacting with the humans. That way the Transformers could interact and go like, hey dude, I really like you. Character development. It's nice to get character development once in a while. Instead of just having a character stand around and turn to the human, he says the one line, and then, oh, that guy said a gruff line. I guess he's a gruff character, but he'll never say a line ever again. So keep it away. Keep it away from Earth. There has been series that do Earth stuff good. There has been series that do Transformer stuff with humans good. Master Force being an example. But in general, it doesn't work out. The Transformer series that we love the most seem to really put the human factor on the side. People love Transformers Prime. Outside of Miko getting involved, the humans were just there, G1, people love G1. The humans are just there. They don't get involved, really. Yeah, okay, there's Daniel in his exosuit. He's going to knock over some Insecticons, I guess. But they're just there. Beast Wars, they're not there at all. Animated, hey, the human character ended up being Cybertronian. Spoiler, so at the end of the day, keep the humans out of it. Where are we at? Sorry if I miss anything. Everything just got jumbled up here. Proto, what do you think would come with a possible Studio Series 86 blaster? Well, number one, there wouldn't be a Studio Series 86 blaster because they only do movie accurate. Studio Series 86 blaster. I was thinking movie blaster, based off of that Soundwave repaint that was a prototype at HasCon. Studio Series 86 blaster. Part of me feels that they're not going to give him his cassettes. You'll have to buy those separately. It'll just be the figure with his gun. But the other part, because to give him all his cassettes, that'd be 4 cassettes. And I don't think they'll want to do that. I really don't. I would love it, though. Blaster's one of my favorite Transformer characters, and he was the first Transformer I ever owned. I have a very huge soft spot for Blaster. But I don't think they'll give him all the cassettes. Put him in that deluxe price point. Give him his gun. and then sell you the cassettes later as a 4-pack in a deluxe price point. Hello, Proto. How would you explain a lot of the Cybertronians having similar body types on the new continuity? Well, my own fanon in terms of, why certain Transformers have the same bodies or their repaints of each other is I've always felt that it's the same, because I'm a big Mega Man fan, and I've always felt that, when people have the same creators, it makes them brothers. So, like, technically, Mega Man and Proto Man in the Mega Man cartoons and video games and everything, they're brothers because they were made by the same creator, and I feel that, and that's why they have a similar aesthetic. So I feel like, look, Cybertronians, they're built a lot of times. They're built, and then they're born through the Allspark or, Vector Sigma or Primus infusing them with personality. And I feel that certain characters that are built by the same characters, they're brothers. I feel all the Dinobots are brothers amongst each other because they were created by Wheeljack and Ratchet in certain continuities. And I feel the same way, when I say the Datsun brothers. Even though it's never been confirmed that Prowl, Blue Streak, and Smokescreen are brothers, I just call them the Datsun brothers because they all share the same mold. I don't call, Starscream, Thundercracker, and Skywarp brothers, but I've always kind of like made that connection that they're all together. So them having similar designs, I feel it's like similar creators. The Seekers, they were all created by that same dude, and that's why they all have similar designs. Who that guy was? A story to be told one day in Transformers lore. That's why it's like, that's where it created, where fan ideas became legit ideas, because, Optimus Prime was turned into Optimus Prime's body type by Alpha Trion. Ultra Magnus, also has Optimus Prime's body type. Who's this Dion character? Does he become Ultra Magnus also? Because they both look the same and they were made by the same guy. Does that make Ultra Magnus his brother? Certain versions say that Ultra Magnus is brothers with Optimus Prime. A lot of cool stuff. Again, it's all convoluted. Depends on the continuity. Nothing is ever written in stone. But that's just one way how I take it. Hey, Proto, I heard that there have been breakage issues from Kingdom Megatron. Is that true? I don't have them yet, so I don't know. I heard that someone recently broke their Studio Series Hot Rod, though. They snapped the gray plastic of his arm. I don't have the image, though. I should have saved that image and showed you guys. To open it up now would be crazy, but that's what I've heard about that one, that the gray plastic's kind of soft in some areas, but I don't know. Maybe the guy was really, all thumbs. Who knows? But we will see. We will see. We will see. What up, Jason? Where are we at here? Where are we at? Trying to see. I'm sorry, I lost my place here. What do you think Takara will include as extras of Mirage when they finally give him the MP treatment? Mirage, by the way, I want to say is another one that's going to be difficult, much like Jazz, because of all the sponsorship on him. He has all this sponsorship. It's all stuff that is different licenses, along with Ligier, the Formula One car. Mirage is another one of those guys that probably would have had a masterpiece a long time ago, but just hasn't because of the whole loopholes with it. But what would he come with? They'll probably give him the little, I don't know, they'll give him the keys and the cage for Ravage. They'll give him a giant block that could go around him before he goes invisible. They'll give him, I don't know. There's not much that you could really give Mirage that I could think of, really. Surfboard also. I think he was one of those guys surfing too in the Ultimate Doom. But, I mean, I would love a Mirage. I love Formula One Transformers. But he's one of those difficult ones too because of his alt mode and the story behind that alt mode. Diaclone, Microman, Takara back in the day, they were very lucky because they weren't as stingent with licensing and branding back in the late 70s and early 80s. Today, it's like, you put out a Transformer and it says Pepsi on the side, Pepsi's going to want their bite, even if it's like a homage slash like it's like a bootleg of it. They're still going to want their piece, especially now that Transformers has hyper focus more than ever. For sure. Dear Proto, how would you like to write a comic book continuation of the 80s cartoon set 50 years after the events of Rebirth? would you include G2 in Machine Wars character? Number one, I probably wouldn't do it the Rebirth way. I've never been a fan of Season 4's conclusion to G1. I kind of like how Japan did it with Headmasters moving forward. I don't want to really say what I would write because that might happen one day. Let's put it this way. Would it include stuff from G2 and Machine Wars? Of course. Of course I would use that stuff. I've talked with Josh Burcham in the past about how I envisioned Machine Wars and how it fits into things, because Josh Burcham ended up doing his version in the end. But I don't want to talk about it right now because it'll probably happen one day. So talking about it now would just ruin things for later. Hey Proto, I'm planning on making a Dark of the Moon collection. What are the figures that I should get, and what are the ones I should avoid? Well, let me say this right now. One thing that I love about Dark of the Moon was that Cyberverse line. They call it the Cyberverse line, which was, and the tag was Build a World, which was they had all those little mini play sets that opened up and stuff, like the Ark and Optimus's play set. If you don't mind buying those Legend Scale ones too, I know you want to get the bigger, cooler figures too, but don't sleep on those Cyberverse ones. A lot of those are really cool. In my personal display, I have it displayed like that because they have a lot of really cool stuff. Let me just look. So, like, what's some really good ones? Number one, that leader class, Sentinel Prime, is awesome. What's really good too? Not Hunt for the Decepticons. Human Alliance, Leadfoot is really good. But again, a lot of those, they're getting Studio Series releases. So if you could just get those. Of the non-show characters, or excuse me, non-movie characters, there was Space Case. He was, I think, a Target exclusive. That was a really cool one. They ended up using that mold for Depth Charge with Bakan. But yeah, that's a really good one. So I'll go with Space Case. That's a really good one. But I would say, I'm telling you, some of those Dark of the Moon Cyberverse Legend Scale stuff, the Commander Scale and the, I think they were called, what was the smaller scale called? I forget. They keep changing the name. I guess Cyberverse. But get those. Those are really good, especially those playsets. The Bumblebee playset is really cool. That comes with the Bumblebee figure. The Ratchet one is amazing. The Ark is amazing. All of them are cool. We got a super chat from Joseph again. Thank you, Joe. Who would be big business, Wolf Wall Street type Transformers? Any bots with big business personalities? Number one, Swindle. I don't even have to think about it for 5 seconds. Swindle for sure. Swindle is all about the Wolf of Wall Street. Swindle is all about swindling. Swindle is all about the hedge funds. Swindle is all about all of that. Swindle is about telling you that something is worth money and then selling it to you and it blowing up in your face. 200% Swindle. So what you would do is you would do a nice green repaint of Swindle outside of his, like, I don't know, he has like a brownish tan kind of, you know, like, I guess khaki colored that he normally has. Give him like all green. Give him some shades and a slick backed hair with a ponytail that's tied up, like Wall Street 80s, you know, like dude. And, you know, Swindle, by the way, fun fact, Swindle is one of the few Decepticons that has purple eyes out of the original dudes. You know, so give him like his purple shades, you know, because he's a Wolf of Wall Street. Yeah, it would be Swindle. I don't even have to think about it twice. Fun fact, Swindle is actually Derek Wyatt, the creator of Animated. It's his favorite character. He loves Swindle, and that's why Swindle was in Animated. But yeah, thanks for the question, Joseph. For sure, it's got to be Swindle. For sure. Or Swindler, the DeLorean. The DeLorean Transformer Micromaster. Where are we at here? Oh, we got a new member of the Transformer YouTube crew. You have a choice to join Patreon or the members. And Roman Schilling joined. Welcome, Roman. Ask away any questions. And contact me and we'll add you to the Discord-only Transformer Slag Discord, where we have cool deals and cool stuff there for everybody to see. Where are we at here? Hey, Proto, who from Transformers RID 2001 would you like an update? Ooh, that's a tough one. I wish Jaws D was here. I love that line. Okay, if let's just put aside, because I would love to just see Fire Convoy, aka that Optimus Prime design, revisited again. I love that design, but let's put him aside, because that's an easy one. Man, Okay, if we do Mock Alert, aka Prowl, it's just going to be another Lamborghini, but would it look like that one? I don't know. Like, do we want to do another Viper Sideburn, aka Speedbreaker? And then get the repaints out of that. Would it be cool? Wild Ride. Actually, Wild Ride would be pretty cool to revisit again. Just because he's such a weird design where he doesn't really have hands and he has like the big fist and then like the hook hand thing. Man, so many. I love that. Like, Car Robots is a personal favorite of mine. So many great designs there. Doesn't get enough love. It really was like this, this bridge to the next thing. And so many great designs there. I don't know. I can't pick one. Let me do a weird one. Let's do, because what's not like Black Convoy, aka Scourge. There's like that. He's gotten so many modern versions. Every time there's a G2 Prime, there's going to be a black repaint. G2 Laser Prime. Yeah, Gigatron. Yeah, that's 6 changer and then later 12 changer. With all the Gigatron, I could see that. That needs to be revisited. That mold keeps getting brought back from the dead every couple years. Like when we worked on the last BotCon year, that mold was brought back. Yeah, Gigatron. And call it Gigatron just to separate it. Just to like make it like a separate character. I would dig that. Yeah, man. Give me Gigatron. Give me the double-headed Hydra, the car mode, the jet mode, the hand mode. And then when he was like Devil Gigatron, aka Galvatron, he had the what was it? He had other modes. He had the elephant mode, the mammoth mode, the base mode. So many crazy stuff. They were just making up stuff at that point. But yeah, I'll go with Gigatron. That's the one that really needs it. Everyone else kind of has something at some point, except X-Brawn, aka Wild Rider. Wild Ride, excuse me. But yeah, Gigatron for sure. Where we at? We got more questions. Has there been any images of Kingdom Galvatron? What about the sweeps? Nothing yet. We all have a pretty good idea of what it's going to look like, but nothing yet. Unless something happened right now while we're recording. I don't know. But nothing yet. Hey, Proto, why does modern Transformer toys have no little fun gimmicks anymore except for Cyberverse? No, well, that's just what happened is, when they created the Classics line all the way back in 2006, there was that deviation where there's like, this is going to be, at the time, Classics was the sideline, and then we had the main line, which was whatever the shows were going to be. So at the time that Classics came out, they were just ending Cybertron, which was all gimmicks, the cyber keys and flip out weapons and stuff. And then when they went into animated, you didn't really see any gimmicks. Yeah, people had little accessories and stuff like that. Maybe like, Blur had a flip out weapon or something, but animated didn't have any gimmicks. When you went into Transformers Prime, there wasn't really any gimmicks. One character, like different higher price point stuff, maybe had like some kind of spinning weapon gimmick or a light up thing. But the basic kind of like deluxe to Voyager scale, which made up most of the line, really didn't have any gimmicks. It wasn't until like really we got to making the movie lines, like the Bumblebee movie line, all gimmick based. And that, with that speed series, power series, and, auto changers. And then it's the same thing when we got to, Cyberverse, where everything is gimmicks. They still exist. It's just that now you got to look to specific lines. Like animated did have gimmicks. They had the activators, but it didn't affect the overall spectrum of things. Like, your little activator Bumblebee didn't stop from any other Bumblebee toys existing. There would be other ones. But yeah, that's more or less it. I mean, I hope I answered your question properly on that one. Proto, do you think Kingdom Rodimus could be a retool of Studio Series 86 Hot Rod with trailer? Maybe. But if he's rumored to be a commander class, wouldn't that make him small? You'd be getting like a deluxe with a really big trailer and paying commander class price, assuming that he actually is a commander class. I don't know. I would want something brand new, wouldn't you? Wouldn't you want something from the ground up, a little more buff? I would want that. I wouldn't want just like another. Think about it, you buy Studio Series Hot Rod, and then the Rodimus one's just going to be a repaint with slight retooling and a trailer. Nah, I think you would want something new from the ground up. Hey, Proto, what do you think a Studio Series Optimus Prime would look like compared to his Earthrise Optimus Prime? Are you referring to the wait? What do you think of Studio Series Okay, oh, if you mean Studio Series 86, not the Bumblebee one. I really think that we probably won't get a Studio Series 86 Optimus Prime because the Earthrise one exists, and then they reissued it into Kingdom. They're going to be pushing that mold moving forward with no reason to do a Studio Series 86 one. And if we do get one, here's a spoiler. Probably they're just going to take that Earthrise one in 2-3 years when the Earthrise one is retired out of secondary market retail, when the Kingdom one is retired out of secondary market retail, and then 2 years from now when you can't find it anymore, they'll slap that same old mold, do some he's battle damaged here and he's beat up here, and maybe he has, that gun, that Megatron was going to use to kill him or something, or that Energon, lightsaber thing. They'll throw in a few accessories and, final battle Optimus Prime Studio Series, and they'll still use that same mold. That's what they'll do. What Hasbro does is they wait for a year or two to be separated, and then they revisit stuff again. And after it's been 2 years, then you go oh my God, I'm seeing this G1 Hot Rod reissue everywhere in Walmart. Oh, I get it out of here. 5 years pass. Oh man, I wish I could find that G1 Hot Rod in Walmart. So they take advantage of that. When there's that gap of time, they could revisit figures and people won't complain. That's the thing, the only reason why, people have been look, everything with Kingdom and all these fillers, Wheeljack and RC and Optimus, those are, too soon, in my opinion. But I think that might have to do with the Big V a little bit and other stuff also. At least that's what I think. Hey, Proto, if Kingdom does well, do you think we'll get more Beast Wars characters and subsets? 200%. Hasbro always does this. Oh, it sold well? More of that. Oh, it didn't sell well? Stop it. That's how it works. Oh, Micromasters sold well in Siege? Put them in Earthrise. Oh, no one cared about the Micromasters in Earthrise? All right, cut it off. That's how it is. Oh, the modulators didn't sell well? All right, don't do them anymore. We're going to do fossilizers instead. That's how it always works. Oh, I always bring these guys up. Oh, the decoy armors didn't sell well? Discontinue it. Anytime they have something that sells well, they'll continue making more. It only makes sense. Oh, it sells well? Keep selling it until it doesn't sell well. That's all. Yep. Hey, Proto, how's the lot you got last week coming? Oh, I don't have that image queued up anymore. So I went through most of it. Man, there's a lot of accessories in there. There was a ton of pieces for stuff of figures that weren't there. I have the weapons for a whole bunch of War for Cybertron, the video game. War for Cybertron, Fall of Cybertron figures without the figures there. Man, there's a lot of accessories. There is a lot of accessories. Where I usually don't sell accessories, but I'm probably going to be bringing a lot of them to a future TFCon just so people could, if they want them, to pick them out and stuff. But there's so many pieces and accessories for figures that aren't there. But there's a lot of cool stuff of complete figures. There was a lot of Transformer Prime figures that were mixed in there. There was a lot of Dark of the Moon stuff mixed in there. There was, what else was in there? There was a ton of classic stuff in there. So, I mean, it was a good find. It was a good find. And again, don't worry about it getting sold anytime soon. Come to the next time TFCon happens, whenever that is, it'll be in the parts party. It'll be in the parts party. You could come rock out, and I'll be selling them there. I don't really sell Transformers online, so whatever I find, it sits waiting to be sold at a con. So stay tuned for that. Hey Proto, no, that one I already read. Hey Proto, do you think we will get at all Season 1 characters who appeared in the movie in Studio Series 86. How will they do Megatron? Well, again, just like I said with Optimus, I think they'll do a Megatron that's just really busted up. But the problem is, would he turn into a gun? Probably not. So it's probably, we will get a Megatron. We will get a Megatron that turns into a gun. But it's going to be at a time when the laws don't exist like they do today. It might take another 5 years, unfortunately. But that's the reality of it. He can't turn into a gun. Stinkfist69 wants to know, where do they have TFCon? Well, TFCon usually, the Canadian shows are always done in Toronto. They're usually done in that July time frame. Again, none of this is happening now, really, right now, until we have we have a better idea of what's happening with the Big V. But they're usually done in July, and then they move around the American show. They also do American show every year. So usually have 2 shows a year, sometimes 3. There's one planned for Baltimore in October, but let's see how the world will be. Recently, flights have been closed, so we'll see. But I always suggest coming to the Toronto show if you can. Even if you're an American, go to the Toronto show, because number 1, your American dollar is way stronger, so you can buy more stuff in the deal room. Number 2, the hotel rooms are cheaper with your American dollar. Number 3, food is cheaper with your American dollar. And there's just more events. I find that the USA show is bigger overall, but it has not as many guests, also, except 1 year. 1 year we had tons of guests, which was the LA year. But it doesn't have as many guests, but it is the bigger show overall. But I find that the Toronto show has more evening events. And so if you're looking to have a good time, I think the Toronto show is the better one. And that's the one where I do the parts party, where I transform my hotel room into this giant store of cheap Transformers. And then you come on down and buy some cheap Transformers. Just check on Twitter, like type at, like in the search engine of Twitter, type at Protoman Parts Party, and you'll see like images from back in the day of me running parts parties and stuff, and all like the toys and stuff and everything. Really fun, really fun. I get cheap Transformers from buying out collections, and then I turn around and sell them for cheap in my parts party. So I end up getting like $5, deluxes and stuff like that sometimes. So cool stuff. But that's when the world's going to be in a better place. I can't really talk about it right now because we don't know what's going on. We really don't. Dear Proto, if you could change one thing about Beast Machines, what would it be and why? I don't know. Maybe the soundtrack. I don't hate the soundtrack too much, but I found that they only had 3 tracks, and they were just repeating those 3 tracks over and over. That like that chase track, and they just used it over and over. They had like three soundtracks in that whole thing, and over a span of 2 seasons, got a little tiresome. And maybe better toys. I think it was a product of its time. The engineering just wasn't there to match what was on the screen that was being done with Draxhall Studios and the guys that were doing the designs back then. Just better toys. All those toys, it's funny because those toys got better as time progressed. Like, we got a better Tankor toy later. We got a better Cheetor toy later. But I think better toys, too. Because I don't hate Beast Machines. It has its flaws, but I don't hate it. It's really good, especially in a bubble. It's a really good series. Hi Proto, do you think we're going to get re-releases of the Titan Returns Metroplex? Hasbro said, and this was a rumor, and I can't, so take it with a grain of salt, but Hasbro said they're not interested in doing Titan class after Kingdom, and they want to focus more on just having 2 commanders instead, which would be pretty cool. But if they would, if we are going to see Titans again in any shape or form, reissues would be the smarter thing to do. But the thing is that Metroplex wasn't Titan Returns. I think you're referring to Fortress Maximus. Metroplex was during that thrilling 30 era, just before Combiner Wars. So I'm going to assume you mean Fortress Maximus. But even in the case of Metroplex, I will say one thing about Metroplex, though. His trademark is expiring. So that means we're going to be getting something at some point. Where are we at here? What do you think of Mastermind Creations Getaway? Looks really good. That's all I could say for now. Looks really good. I don't have it in hand. Third party always does amazing work. I won't know until I get it in my hands. Hey Proto, is Transformers RED nothing more than just a filler to Armada? It wasn't originally. wasn't originally. It was planned to be the next thing. Hey man, we're gonna do anime Transformers. Like they were coming. Look, they were coming off of Beast Machines. They were gonna do Transtech. It was going to be more stuff with Mainframe Entertainment. That didn't work out. At the same time, Takara was doing that Web Divers series, which, you know, maybe we were going to use the molds for that, maybe not for Transtech. That didn't work out. Then they did Car Robots, aka Robots in Disguise, and that was going to maybe be the next direction. It didn't sell very well in Japan, and it didn't sell very well in America either. So they began Operation Armada, and they worked on that, and Armada did way better. It doesn't matter if you like the Armada toys compared to Robots in Disguise. You know, they're apples and oranges. One are more gimmick-based and toyetic. One are more collector-based. But Armada sold way better than Robots in Disguise. So there was something there, for sure. But were they a filler? Not really. Not initially. And then it ended up just being retconned into G1 continuity. So it all worked in the end. Hey, Proto, I was talking about Metroplex, not Fortress. Okay, that's why. Because like when you said Titan Returns, I was like, Fortress was the Titan in that thing. But okay. Proto, what characters would work well for Commander class? Oh, there's tons. There's tons. Number one, you're talking any of like the larger base like kind of characters. So when you're talking something like, you can barely see him here, but like Tidal Wave, number one. Then when you go into like even the Energon stuff, the Omega Supreme from Energon, you could do like combiner box sets as a Titan class with certain characters. When you go into stuff like Cybertron, that huge Starscream, the Metroplex from that line, from the planet Gigalonia or Giant Planet, there's a lot of large characters. A lot of large characters that could work for that kind of stuff, that you don't have to revisit G1 to think Titan class. Same thing how I always talk about, you know, you could do Titan class combiners of the Beast War stuff. Try Predicus, Magnaboss, put that in a Titan class. 3 deluxes, make one commander class. You know, so not Titan class, commander class. So I could see that, you know? Like, same thing, like that, it's, commander class could be a price point. Meaning, like, you could do a box set of 5 deluxes, or excuse me, 4 deluxes and a Voyager that make a combiner, and that could be that price point. Because when you think about it, a lot of those 5-piece box sets that were like $100 and stuff, it kind of falls into that. Obviously, some sacrifices might have to be made. They might have to modulate the price point a little bit, well, like they always do. Every year it goes up a little bit, but you never know. Never know. Where are we at? Do you think we will ever do a Monstructor? For sure. For sure. Though they have a few of those trademarks, a few of those names of Monstructor Hasbro owns right now. So they're going to have to revisit those at some point. To keep the trademark, Hasbro could do a re-release of Cybertron Metroplex. Of course. They could do that. Look. Let me just... Oops, no, not this one. That guy right there. Banzai-tron was up this year. Booyah. That guy was up this year. Originally hard shell, then they finally got to do bombshell again. And then 3 years have passed. Who knows? Metroplex might just show up elsewhere. Maybe a RED figure. It's going to be somewhere. What trademarking tells us is that we get an idea of what we know is going to be coming character-wise. Doesn't mean we're going to get a crazy transformer of it. Just means that name is going to pop up again. Could be a little, you know, little thing like something like this. Could be a transforming figure, you know? Hey, Protoman, do you think about an American Transformer series that has the same art style as Netflix Voltron Defenders coming out in the future if Kingdom does well? Well, you know, the thing is that in the recent years, Hasbro has been really focusing on Transformers having CG as part of the makeup of their storytelling. Like animated existing, first of all, animated existing was them going, okay, if the movies don't do well, we have animated. Like if 2007's movie didn't do well, we have animated. But the movie did do well, and then we had Prime, CG. Robots in Disguise, CG. Cyberverse, CG. Even Rescue Bots, it uses flash animation CG. So, and then you look, of course, at all the Netflix stuff. So I feel they're just going to keep doing the CG thing. I like 2D animation, but it's much more expensive. And I think Voltron, why they did 2D animation, because they did 3D in the past. Look up Voltron Defenders, Voltron the Third Dimension, I think it was called, or something. They did CG back then. Didn't work out for them that first time around. We got a super chat from Stinkface69. 69. And Stinkface wants to know, do you think we will get another Titan figure like Trypticon or the Ark? Well, again, I think Hasbro is probably going to look smaller. And I agree with them, honestly. I really do. I feel that the way it's going, I think I rather have 2 commander classes a year of appropriate characters than trying to figure out who could be the next Titan class. Now, granted, yeah, there still is the Ark that we still need to do. And I mean, if you want to count like repaints, like, we never got a Black Zarek, we never got a Brave Max, we never got a Metro Titan. So some of those, yeah, we never got repaints of those. Never got like a G2 Devastator from Titan class Devastator. But outside of the obvious ones, really, what is there left to do? People, they always say, oh, Titan class, Tidal Wave. Tidal Wave was big in the video game of Armada, but he was never really that big in the show. In the video game, he was huge, and that was an amazing level, by the way. But yeah, thank you for the question. I just can't. I think they're going to go more towards those commander classes. I really do. I really, really do. It just makes more sense. And again, the thing you have to understand too is retailers. Like, oh, I didn't post the image here. I should have probably posted it. Retailers, it's all about shelf space, and it's so much easier to have like 4 commander classes all the way to the back of the display for Walmart or Target than to have like 2 humongous Titan classes sideways taking up all that space. They rather sell 8 commander classes than 2 Titan classes. And look at the history of these Titan classes. They all end up on clearance. So you don't really see the commander classes go on clearance. So keep that in mind too. But thank you for the question, Stinkface. Hey Proto, what game studios would be interested in seeing to make a Transformer game? Go back to High Moon, give us our AAA game and that we could all celebrate. The problem is that licensed games always suck in general. Sometimes they're good, but a lot of times they suck. And because they suck, you need to have a studio that really has a passion for it and not just trying to make a dollar. And that's the problem. That's the major problem, is that High Moon Studios had a passion for it and they made a AAA game in War for Cybertron, Fall of Cybertron. Then you look at the stuff we're getting recently. What studio? Nintendo. Because they have passion. Would it be fun? I don't know. I don't know. A lot of other studios, they're just going to take a bath. They're just going to take the license and make money and try to get it out as quick as possible. I did a whole like getting into like High Moon and what happened. I talked about it with Aaron Archer in Deep, that the reason why War for Cybertron also did well was because there was no rush. There was no like TV series they had to match at the same time, or movie that they had to match at the same time. They were going to forge their own beginning. Obviously in retconning now, it's retcon, it's part of Transformers Prime continuity. But at the time, it was going to be its own thing. We got a super chat from the Podski. Gold member. Nice gold super chat. Thank you, Podski. Why do people hate Beast Machines? I was born in 1994, missed the TV run of Beast Wars and saw Beast Machines first. Well, that might be part of it. I might be biased, but I'd argue Beast Machines is better and more focused on story. Well, see, that's just it. People's biggest complaint that people have about Beast Machines is that Bob Skir, the writer, when he approached Beast Machines, he was told by Hasbro and previous writers, don't watch Beast Wars. Go into this fresh because we want it fresh. And as a result, that hurt a lot of people that fell in love with those characters, season 1, 2, and 3 of Beast Wars, and going into Beast Machines, seeing how those characters are. Cheetor was the proper progression, in my opinion, from a character development standpoint. But independent Black Arachnia wasn't independent anymore. Rat Trap, who was like, better dead than Pred, all of a sudden is now working for Megatron just so he could get some guns. I hope I'm not spoiling for people here. Rhinox, who was such a spiritual individual and always, respected everybody. Now he's thinking like a villain, and literally thinking like a villain. Like, there was huge departures for a lot of these characters that we liked. I always say Beast Machines in a Bubble is an amazing series. Very well written, great character development. Needs to work on the music. The visuals were very nice, the shadowing and stuff. Yeah, there was a lot of running away from drones and everything, but it still was a pretty good series. Very well done. And again, not having humans doesn't always hurt. And it being Cybertronian based, that's what we were all wishing for. Adventures back on Cybertron. But at the end of the day, that's what really hurt it more than anything, is people who watched Beast Wars and loved that series going into it and what their characters had become at that point. Obviously, you had a unique scenario where you didn't see Beast Wars, so you weren't able to get hurt as much. You know what I mean? That's the primary reason. But I mean, I like it. I will never forget. I think it was after Armada aired its 3-episode movie on Cartoon Network. And I remember after it aired, I was like, you know what? I like what I see here, but I miss Beast Machines. Because I saw, Car Robots was a Japanese series, and it was very Japanese and had that very brave kind of writing style. So I knew what I was going to get with Car Robots and Robots in Disguise. With Armada, I thought it was going to be a new direction. And I got so used to Beast Machines and Beast Wars that had such a great 90s writing style that here it is, 2001, watching Armada with the new anime influence and Pokemon taking over the world and everything. It was going to be a new kind of writing style. And I missed that old 90s writing style where you weren't really trying to sell toys, you were trying to sell a story and get good syndication and get good ratings. That isn't the case anymore, unfortunately. We still have outliers of really good cartoons and stuff that aren't trying to sell product. But it's not like the 90s was. The 90s had a lot of really good stuff, all thanks to Batman the Animated Series. It all starts there, which, ironically enough, Aaron Archer worked on that too. Dear Proto, would you like more Optimus figures with G1 yellow eyes? Let's start with the first part. Would I like more Optimus figures? Not really. When we have like Super7 and those offshoot lines, you got to do an Optimus. You got to do. If you do a little PVC line, you got to do an Optimus. But mainline stuff, enough Optimus. Yellow eyes, blue eyes, purple eyes, enough Optimus. I think we got enough Optimus. Stinkface, I'm sure you know the history of Transformers and the link to the Japanese Spider-Man series back in the early 70s. Yeah, well, you're talking about Spooderman, the Toku series. There's a lot of connections there. That's a domino effect involving that with G.I. Joe, with Microman, with Henshin Robo, which was connected to the Sentai and Toku stuff. That's a rabbit hole that is a domino effect that goes really far back. I mean, you could even argue, Gundam's influence on how Battle Convoy from Diaclone looked, and you could argue how what's it called there, Chojin Jig, how that had an influence on how Wheeljack looks, because the designers at Takara, when they were working on Diaclone, were really into Go Nagai's kind of stuff in his designs, and Jig was one of Go Nagai's things. There's a lot to dive into. Same thing with the design of Hot Rod. Type Zambo Ace. Zambo, Z-A-M-O, Z-A-M-B-O space A-C-E. Zambo Ace. It's Hot Rod. Zambot 3 was this extremely popular show in the Philippines. And guess who designed Hot Rod in the Philippines? Flair O'Deary. And Zambo Ace is the spitting image of Hot Rod, and he predates him by like 7 years. So there's a lot of that. But anyways. Hey Proto, what do you think about Hound in the Transformers PSP game? Are you referring to the Transformers movie PSP game? Which I only played a little bit. I own it. I never beat it. Because that's the only PSP one that I'm familiar with. Is there any others? No, there isn't. To my knowledge, there's only this 2007 Transformers movie PSP game. I think I did play as Hound. I know you could play as Ultra Magnus also, I think. I remember that one had unique characters to it that weren't in the the DS version and obviously the console versions. That was a very unique game in itself. I own it. I just never. I have very vague memories of it. I played it like back in like 2008, so like so many years ago. Muscle memory, how much I can remember of it. Hey Proto, how would you write a Transformers Gargoyles crossover? I don't want to. I usually ideas like that I don't want to spill too much, but if you're doing Transformers and Gargoyles crossover, Gargoyles have their own form of stasis lock, so you could right away write something in like that, and then we start from there. Transformers go into stasis lock, the Gargoyles get frozen for 1,000 years, and then you take it from there. And then of course you have Xanatos with all his Iron Man-like technology that could be interplayed into that, and then go. I have a VSS. I have to sneeze, guys. Oh my god. Whew. I got a little dust. I have VHS tapes of all the figures of figures of Exo Squad, and I think of making a great live-action show. Well, Exo Squad was one of those Mecha Warrior kind of series that was really cool. Again, awesome 90s shows. I think I have some Exo Squad stuff for sale. I think I have some of that. I always come across that kind of stuff once in a while. Do you think we could get a Victory Leo and Starsaber? I hope so. I think Starsaber is going to be one of the first Commander classes. I've always felt that. In the same way that Commander class Double Dealer is going to one day get retooled into Deathsaurus. I think 100% that's going to happen. Mark my words. Remember this. Double Dealer, Commander class into Deathsaurus. Watch. The tooling is there on his body. It's already there waiting to happen. You'll see. Mark my words. Hey Proto, what are your thoughts on the Nissan Z? Which one? Is there a new one that was recently announced? Because we have the 350Z, the 380Z. There was another Z that was recently announced. I'd have to see it. I love the 350Z. I remember, I don't want to bury him on the podcast too much, but someone that I know, he bought Bumblebee's Camaro, and his brother owned the 350Z in black. I think it was black. And he's like, "Oh man, I love my car." I'm like, "Well, your brother has the better car, in my opinion. I love the 350Z. I love the 300ZX, the Datsun series, the Fair Ladies. I love those." Dear Proto, what is your favorite Gargoyles episode? Oof, I don't know the episode names off by heart. I have the seasons on DVD, although I don't own the Goliath Chronicles, whatever they're called there. I don't own those ones. Did those even get DVD releases? I know I have seasons 1 and 2, and I remember something was foggy about like the later seasons. Bro, you're putting me on the spot. I don't really remember. It's been so long. I bought those DVDs. I watched them 2008, 2007. So we're talking 13 years ago. I know they're on Disney Plus now. I could easily just tune in and rewatch them. I have a bunch of Gargoyle toys. I have Xanatos, Goliath, and Brooklyn in the other room, but they're for sale because I was selling them. I have a whole bunch of stuff. And then they did pop vinyls not too long ago, too. They did pop vinyls of Gargoyles also. There's some new merchandise. Proto, enlighten me. Where is Action Toys Eagle Robo DX? I need that in my life. I think it's going to come. The thing is that Action Toys is aware that there is the GoBot section of that market that is buying these, and that's why like those GoBot specific characters have been getting released, because They're not just like, you know, getting Jet Robo, which is Phytor in GoBots. Jet Robo is way more of an important character than Phytor was in GoBots, so him coming first was important. But Eagle Robo, aka Leader 1, for sure. For sure, we're going to get a deluxe version with an interchangeable head sculpt with yellow teeth and big yellow goggles. Anyone who hasn't read the GoBots IDW comic by Tom Sicoli, go read that book. Amazing book. Amazing twist ending. No one post the twist ending in the chat. I swear I will kick you out because it's an amazing twist ending. But check it out. Dear Proto, I heard rumors that IDW might lose the Hasbro license. What could that mean for the future of Transformers comics? Will it happen to the new Beast? What will happen to the new Beast Wars comic? Well, the new Beast Wars comic is a limited series done by the amazing Joshua Burcham, who's working on it right now with the other Ham that I forget, Eric something Ham. That's a limited series, so it's already planned for beginning, middle, and end. And if it does well, they'll do more. But I didn't hear about them losing any kind of license. It's possible. I've always said, and I've always thought about this for years, when you really think about it, at the end of the day, Transformers was a Hasbro and Marvel creation. Like it was something that Hasbro and Marvel made together. And to me, if Transformers goes back to Marvel, it's like going home. So I could see it happening. Maybe Marvel will get it back one day. Look, Marvel has Ultraman right now. Why can't they have Transformers? It's not out of the question. Then we could have Mecha Spider-Man with Optimus Prime from the Toku series. Who knows? Maybe Boom Studios will swoop in and take it. They're the guys that do the Power Ranger stuff, which is a Hasbro property. Maybe they have a good relationship with Boom Studios. I don't know. This is the first I hear of it. I know that the comic industry is in a weird place right now because of the big V, but we'll see what happens. Dear Proto, in regards to Tarantulas' origins, do you prefer him tied to Cybertronian Empire or Unicron or some sort of the other two? My brother, I wrote Tarantulas' bio. Let me grab it. Is it over here? Oh, I don't want to grab it right now. Anyways, I have all the bios over there. I wrote Tarantulas' bio. And I wrote him as Unicronian. So that's why that is canon. That's my fault. I've always felt that when he went transmetal and his normal head sculpt now had these little horns on them, and then him talking about how he's not connected to Autobot or Decepticon origins, and the fact that he turns into a motorcycle like another certain Unicronian character. Oh god, you can't even see it, but yeah, I'm referring to Sideways. I've always felt he's Unicronian, and when I was given the opportunity to write his tech spec and bio, I was going to make that canon. So Tarantulas is Unicronian. Stamp, sealed, send it to go. Hey Proto, do you think it's a good idea to purchase variants of Transformer figures, because that's one thing I'm scared about when starting my Dark of the Moon collection? What do you mean about variants? Like if they have like a running change of the same mold, like it's this and then it's this with blue eyes or something? What do you mean by that? You'll have to elaborate more, my friend. Hey Proto, speaking of comics, do you think they'll release a War for Cybertron comic series or book? The toys seem to like they have a huge story to tell. I think that the exclusive rights of telling that story is right now through Netflix. And the comic sales are not strong enough to garner multiple books and pay multiple people. You know what I mean? So that's something that I don't really imagine happening right now. Where are we at here? IDW could become part of Disney, and they did a Mickey Mouse oh my god, I don't want Disney anywhere near Transformers and Hasbro. I want them as far away as possible, because Disney likes to milk stuff until they die. They like doing sequels until they make no sense. So I do not want that. Dude, what I never noticed the connection with Sideways. Bro, trust me. Here's the thing, too. If you look up Fun Publications, they did a subscription service figure that was a fusion of Tarantulas with his little Tarantulas dudes and Sideways together. There's a lot of stuff going on there. And that's why, like, and I wrote it in his bio that he's Unicronian, because there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes that just hasn't been written yet. There's a lot of stories to tell. The bio that I wrote, Jeff, was in 2015. It was written and then cleared by Hasbro for 2016. Give me a sec. Give me a sec here. Let me just grab it quickly. No, it's too much of a headache because then I have to like knock everything over to grab it. All the stuff I was working on. Anyways, it's all with my it's all the paperwork stuff. One day I want to take all the like the bios I worked on. I want to like kind of like make like a frame or a collage or something officially with Hasbro and Fun Publications. But yeah. Hey Proto, do you think we'll ever see the 2012 Cartoon Network Symbiotic Titan? I remember that. That was a good series. If so, what did you think about it? I liked it a lot. It was way too short, that series. But that was a weird time. Like 2012, like that was when robots were really popular, and I think, what was it, Cartoon Network was just trying to have weird stuff. Like I think it was for Adult Swim, or for their Adult Swim block. I don't know. I'd like to see more of it though, but that's just one of those things, one of the many shows like Megas XLR that just kind of disappeared. Proto, what is the last figure you bought that wasn't a Transformer? What is the last figure that I bought that wasn't a Transformer? Give me a sec. I haven't been able to go out and buy stuff recently. Oh man, because now you're making me think back to December, maybe before the lockdown. Oh boy, it's got to be a Marvel Legends thing, probably. Had to have been. What else did I buy? Oh man, I don't remember, man. I'm serious. Non-Transformer purchase. Oh man, because it would have to be in the other room. It would have to be. Oh, I know. SH Figuarts, Ginyu Force, Ginyu, and Perfect Namek Piccolo from SH Figuarts. Dragon Ball. Those. They're not here yet, but they're on their way from Big Bad Toy Store. Not sponsored. Just saying I bought them from Big Bad Toy Store. That was it. God, it made me like crunch my brain there a second. We got a super chat from Stink Fist 69 again. Hey, just want to say I enjoy your show and all the knowledge you give, and I just wanted to thank you. P.S. Could you give a camera tour with your collection? You know what sucks? What I want to do is, so this camera, unfortunately, which is so much more beautiful now than what we used to use. If you look at our old segments, it was so grainy. This camera, unfortunately, is wired. So I can't really like use it to go around, really. But what I want to do is, I got the idea from my buddy Ego Raptor. You could have multiple cameras, like we could switch between cameras and stuff. I'm going to try to have like a separate camera that's the iPad camera, and we could go around the room one day and I'll do like a collection tour and stuff. If you do want to see a little bit of like my collection and everything, I did a reality show segment for a show called Geek Me. If you type, I guess, Proto Man Transformer Collection on YouTube, it's not on the Transformer Slag YouTube channel. It's on a separate channel that I did. And you could see how my collection looked in 2016, I guess, 4 years ago. But yeah. But thank you so much again, Stinkfist69, for all the super chats and everything. And I enjoy making you guys have a good time on this crazy evening. Which, speaking of which, we're 13 minutes away from calling it quits. So any last super chat questions? Get in them now because we got 13 minutes left. We're gonna go 10 minutes over because normally we would be done by now, but we're gonna go 10 minutes over just because we started late today. That was my fault. I apologize. So let's jump into, where did I see? Hey Proto, any word on Super 7 making 7-inch transformer? Well, the Ultimates are gonna be 7 inches, 7.5 from what people have been telling. So we'll see what's going to happen with that. Again, I have to get them in hand. I don't like to judge stuff until I, like physically have them in hand. Like I was hyped about this guy until I physically got him in hand and then realized how flimsy he was. You hear that? Ugh. Oh, man. Oh, hot rod. Hey, Proto, do you think Hasbro might be interested in allowing animation studios like Studio Trigger to make some new 2D animation? It's not a matter of allowing. It's Studio Trigger would have to be either approached by Hasbro or Studio Trigger is going to have to pay for a license to then do a show. And that's, it's all about synergy because Transformers is a toy-based product. So it's not a matter of, like, Studio Trigger wants to do it. It's a matter of if those people want to do business together. It was kind of like how, what was the studio that did all those Marvel animes? Like, they did the X-Men one, they did the Wolverine one, they did the Iron Man one. What studio was that? It was the same thing where Marvel was like in this anime mode and they approached that studio to do it. And then they did all those Marvel animes. And they all had that similar kind of style and everything. So it's really a matter if those two want to play ball. And Hasbro's still, like, that's their most important property is Transformers. So they're holding on to it very safely. Although Power Rangers, now that they got it, it's starting to move up. Hey, Proto, which class would be good for Thunder Clash? I would say Voyager class or a Leader class where he's a Voyager class figure. I'd say Leader class because you want to have his trailer. You want to have his cool UK-inspired trailer. So let's say Leader class and his figure is a Voyager. So Leader class price point, but his figure is a Voyager scale. Dear Proto, a few years ago I saw some art from a supposed Transformers DC crossover. Do you think if it was legit? Not legit. There never was a DC crossover. Warner Brothers never really wanted to do stuff with Kenner after they stopped doing their Batman license, and then it moved on to Mattel. So Mattel and Warner Brothers have a really good relationship right now. And Warner Brothers is very tied into DC's MO. So probably, like, unless you saw that crossover in like 1993, it wouldn't have been something recent. Dear Proto, how would you... That's why there was, by the way, that's why there was a third-party Batman Transformer, and that was cool, because that would probably never happen. But yeah. Dear Proto, how would you do a Beast Wars version of the Mercenaries? I think that there kind of was a Beast Wars version of the Mercenaries, because what Tarantulas and all of them were doing was a third faction. The Spidas and the Arachnids. But there was no real third mercenary faction. There just was a third faction, but you just have to have, like, some guy that's coming onto the Beast planet, using transwarp technology, I guess. Or alternatively, they're on Earth 4 million years ago during the Great War, before the Autobots woke up in 84, and there's mercenaries that are kicking around in real time that are traveling around prehistoric Earth and prehistoric Cybertron. That's the only thing I can think of for now. Gonzo, thank you. Studio Gonzo. And Studio Gonzo did Armada. Not Armada. Studio Gonzo did Cybertron, aka Galaxy Force. So, they've worked with big companies in the past. So if you liked that X-Men anime, that's what Galaxy Force, aka Cybertron, was. Ignore the CG. Obviously, the CG is a little dated, but the animation itself. We got a super chat question from the Podsky. Thank you, Podsky. With the TF lore you've written, how have it rippled out into bigger things in the franchise? Let me think now. Number one, anything I did with Ruckus is now like canon. It affected the Transformer TCG, I could tell you that much. Let's take a look. I did a lot of Diaclone and Microman stuff, like homages to that, which didn't have any ripple effect. And then there's a Diaclone sub reboot line that kind of ignores everything I did. I tried to change Tigatron's history, and that didn't work out. I hated that figure for the subscription service. What else did I do? I did the Matrix of Malice, explaining how Bludgeon was hearing the voice of Thunderwing in his head. That didn't really get used much afterwards. I did a lot of little things here and there. And then all the bios that were written during Combiner War as well. Those were like a couple of sentences, and swindle's gonna swindle. Not much really to say there. But I would have to say more of like the 2016 stuff with Beast Wars, just because people take that as canon. I did Ravage's bio. I did Tigatron's bio. I did the Flash Century, which was the golden ticket figure. I did Tarantulas, like I mentioned before. Who else did I do? I'm trying to remember. I did a few others. I'm trying to remember of that year, specifically the Beast Wars year. Did I do the Pterosaur? I know I did the Scorponaut. I don't remember. It's so many. You do so many, you forget. Someone have to check my wiki or something. Although that might not even be updated. But yeah, I would have to say, I don't know. It's hard to say if something was written, but it was inspired by what someone read. You know what I mean? I'd have to be in that person's mind. Where are we at here? Dear Proto, what are your favorite... Oh, by the way, thank you, Podsky, for the super chat. Thank you. Dear Proto, what is your favorite part of Beast Wars The Gathering? Probably anything with Razor Beast. Just because it's cool to have Razor Beast as a featured character. Did people read it? I don't want to spoil too much, because there's some stuff that happens with Razor Beast, so maybe I don't want to dive too much into it. But yeah, I remember what happened to Razor Beast. I'm like, is he gonna turn into Randy? But yeah, do you think there will be a Galactic Odyssey like they did with Kingdom? Oh yeah, I think Amazon made so much money from that stuff. They were selling out. They're gonna do it again. For sure. They're going to do some kind of Amazon exclusive stuff, because all that stuff sold ridiculously well. Will it be like Galactic Odyssey? No, but they'll call it something, and it'll happen for sure. Also, Proto, in reference to the Z, I meant the Z Proto concept from September 2020. Oh, I didn't see that one. I'll definitely go check that out. I didn't see that. Hey, Proto, is there an idea to get repaints of multiple size classes of the same character? Hold on a second. Hey, Proto, is there a good idea to get a repaint and multiple size classes of the same character? What do you mean by that? Because, I mean, that kind of happens right now. Like, I mean, look as far back as the 2007 movie. A character came out, Blackout, Legend Scale, Activator, Fast Action Battler, Voyager Scale, Robot Replica, Robot Hero, Burger King figure, RPM. Why do I feel like I'm forgetting something? I'll just go with those for now. But, you know, that's 8 right there for one guy. Not counting all the extra repaints that they have afterwards, like platinum repaint and stuff like that. Where are we at here? You think they'll make a Galaxy upgrade Megatron to go with Prime? I don't know. That's really up to them if they want to do a Galaxy Force, aka Cybertron Megatron. That would have to be a triple changer, which would be cool. That would be cool, actually. That would be a Commander class. Imagine if they did that in Commander class. That'd be kind of cool. Because then it would have the budget. Because the budget that exists today is not like it was back in the day for plastic. So, I don't know. We have 4 minutes left, people. We have 4 minutes left. And then we're going to have to call it quits for the night. So get your super chats in while you still can. Where are we at here? Hey, Proto, let's say Hasbro doesn't have to stick to a budget anymore with their TF toys in the future. Well, they have to. They can't stick to a budget. How much more advanced do you think the engineering would be with those future Transformer lines? Well, they would be like Masterpiece, where they make the toy and there is a budget, but they're also, if they break that budget, they just charge more. But they have to have a budget because it's a domino effect. And budget has existed since the days of G1. Just they're not as stringent as was back then, which is you had price points initially, which was you had the mini bot price point, the car price point, the big price point, and they had to stay in those price points for retailers because stuff is sold by the case. You buy a case of 8 figures, blah blah blah. So nowadays you have price points where it's like deluxe price point, 4 figures. We got to stay within that deluxe price point with engineering so we don't lose money. And then that way it could be in a case assortment of 8. And then Hasbro could then deal with Walmart and say, okay, case assortment of 8. Each unit costs $1.7 per unit in a case of 8. So it's $8 per unit. And then you sell it for $29.99. So you make your I don't know, $27 profit unit. Like there's so much layers to that they would never cut out retail product with budget because they need that in order to figure things out. It's a whole complicated thing that would completely collapse if they did that. But yeah, that's the long short answer of that. Do you think there will be a Galactic Odyssey thing for Kingdom? If so, yeah, like I said before, where they might be a Tarantulas or Beast Wars Inferno. Well, here's the thing. Everything we've gotten from all of those repaint lines are just them. They're repaints. Look at all the Galactic Odyssey stuff was repaints. So we're not going to see original molds there. Like Tarantulas, Beast Wars Inferno, those are going to be original molds. Those are things that are going to pop up, hopefully, in retail. And then we'll get a Vok-colored Tarantulas in Galactic Odyssey. We'll get a Antagony Beast Wars Inferno repaint in Galactic Odyssey. What's up, Steven? That kind of stuff. Hey, Proto, Commander class Tidal Wave and Broadside. Ooh, Broadside maybe as a Commander class. I could see that. Revisit him once again. He was a Voyager before with those little jets. I could see it happening. Dear Proto, why do you resemble Bill Murray? I don't think I resemble Bill Murray. I might have his hair right now because I'm fresh out of the shower, and Bill Murray has a receding hairline. Could I have Bill Murray's money? Could I have Bill Murray's fame? Maybe. Am I a Ghostbuster? Perhaps. Perhaps I am. Thanks for your time, Proto. Always a pleasure. Thank you, Tom. Punch, Counterpunch was a different mold. Yeah, but that one was different because they used it once before and then they used it again, and it was going to be a retail product, and it ended up didn't happening because of the price points, and that was a headache, that one. Punch, Counterpunch is always a weird one. Also from a trademark standpoint, because you can't call it punch and you can't call it counterpunch. Axe to the head coming in the end with the final super chat of the night. Hey, Proto, why do you think villain characters don't sell well in Japan, i.e., is there official Masterpiece Galvatron yet? Okay, so here's the story with that. And this doesn't just start with Transformers. Number one, 3 things. Japan, back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, one income household. Mom stays at home, dad works. Keep that in mind. One income. Not as much money coming into the household in Japan. Number 2, small household. Not a lot of space for product. Not a lot of space for something like this couldn't exist in Japan. Something like your own collection probably couldn't exist in Japan. Not a lot of space. You take those 2 things and it leads to the 3rd thing. Kid has a choice for one figure because not a lot of money and not a lot of space. If you're a kid in Japan watching Transformers Victory, do you want Starsaber or do you want Deathsaurus? Most kids are going to... Think about this. How many times when you bought a toy line did you start with the villains over the heroes? Very rarely. Maybe Star Wars. That's the only one I could ever think of, because Star Wars, the heroes are almost never as cool as the villains. The villains are all cool in Star Wars. But it's always because they have a limitation of a choice, and it always falls on that. And the problem is it falls across the whole thing. Every single kid in Japan goes, I want good guy toys. And as a result, toy companies go, wow, bad guy toys didn't sell well. This goes all the way back to Sentai with Power Rangers in the 60s and the 70s. They didn't make the villains. They made the heroes, they made the figures, they made the Zords, the mechas. They didn't make the villains. In America, we have a different market. We have two household incomes. Mom and dad sometimes work. We have the space, so we can have tons of toys. We have Christmas. We have all of that. Grandma, buy me everything. Christmas is very different in Japan than here. It's not the same kind of crazy commercialism like it is there. So, that being said, we have the ability to buy lots of villains. And thus we have a history of toy lines that had the villains and the good guys. You know? And thus, when Power Rangers came here, the very first villain toys, Pudgy Pig, Eye Guy, the Naughty Knight, Rita Repulsa, Lord Zed, which actually was an American exclusive design. All of those existed, but not in the Japanese Zoo Ranger version. And it's the same thing with Transformers. Transformers was one of the few brands outside of Ultraman with all his kaiju villains, which are done with Sufobi, which are one piece of plastic with limited articulation. With the exception of Ultraman, it is very rare that the villains in Japanese toy lines get produced, and Transformers was another one of those rare exceptions. Maybe because those molds already existed, so the tooling wasn't necessary initially, talking about the Diaclone stuff, the Microman stuff, and what Hasbro did to import. And then because it was successful, they kept moving forward because the opportunities were there. But it really has a lot to do with income and household space. I know a lot of people who are Transformer collectors in Japan that are good friends. They don't got the space for their collection. And they've been in the fandom for 30 years. And they can't find space for it. You should see what anyone who watches Storage Wars. I was on an episode of Storage Wars. But anyone that watches Storage Wars, the storage lockers in America are huge. They're huge. They go all the way to the back. Look at storage lockers in Japan. They're like your closet. They're so tiny because space is a premium over there. And that's the domino effect of one of the many reasons why villain characters are not a thing in Japan. They do exist, but they're not as prevalent and they don't sell well. And because they don't sell well, they're not made. I hope that answers your question. Axe to the head. The long-winded question, the long-winded answer of it. And that is the last question of the evening. So once again, thank you everyone for coming to the stream. I hope you learned something today. I hope that we get out of this craziness that's happening in the world and that everyone is safe. And if you want to help support the podcast and let me know that I'm doing a good job here, patreon.com/Protoman. It'll be in the description below if you don't see it. If you don't go to it, come join the Patreon. We have a Discord where we post all kinds of Transformer sales that are happening every single week in the Transformer world. A lot of cool stuff going on in the Patreon. We also get all the cool other stuff that the Patreon gives you. Just check out patreon.com/Protoman. Again, thanks again to our sponsor, Symbiote Studios. Check them out too, symbiotestudios.com, with all their cool official Transformer product, as well as other stuff like Shovel Knight, G.I. Joe, and more to come from the Hasbro side of things, so stay tuned for that with them. And thanks to all you guys. So once again, thanks again. We're going to try our best to plow through this all, and we'll talk about Transformers in 7 days from now. So like always, my friends, roll out.